What is going on, you guys? Welcome to the episode 4. I'm your main host, Coach Yo-Yo, and I have Coach Nick.
I am back. They invited me back after the last one. Thank you.
Yeah, we like you a little bit.
I must have done good.
We like you a little bit. And we have our special guest today, Makencie.
Hello, hello.
With an M-A-K.
M-A-K-E-N-C-I-E.
Yeah.
My mom, she's actually originally from Mexico, and when she came to the United States, she didn't know how to spell Makencie, so she went with Makencie.
But I like it, though.
I do. It's unique.
I like it. It's very interesting. I mean, his name is N-I-K, Nick, right? And I'm Johansson. Come on. Like, Johansson. That's or Johan. So the reason why I want to have you on the podcast is because the week that you did your pageant was the same weekend that I did my show, which was last weekend.
Yep.
So we want to talk about that. But before we get to that point, why did you start? Why did you want to start with my program or Unfinished Lifestyle? And what made you start that? Because I know the answer to that, but I want you to express that.
Well, we have a mutual friend, Marjorie, and I was working in a kitchen, and she just walked in with a juicy booty, and I'm like, where did she get this booty? Like, she works hard. So yeah, I just wanted to know how she got into that and who I could go to, because at the end of the day, I said you could have, 6 months could go by, you could have more excuses for why you didn't get the results that you wanted, or you could have the results that you wanted. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to her, and she's like, oh yeah, there's this guy named Yo. And I'm like, yo, what an odd name. But I mean, sure, So then she just got me in contact with you. And yeah, that's how it all started. And it started because I said you could either have lots of excuses or you could have results. And I decided, let's just go all in and see what comes out of it.
I remember you came into my office and you said, okay, I want to do a pageant, Miss Utah pageant. At the time, you were actually, and now currently, former now, but at the time you were Miss Mapleton, Springfield?
Yeah, so I could just quickly go over my pageant journey.
Yeah.
2019, I competed for my very first pageant, the Miss Springville Mapleton pageant, and I don't remember why I did it. I just saw an advertisement and figured I could do it, and I didn't realize how much went into it. You have to do interview prep. You have to work on a talent, which is 40% of your score. You have to make sure that you look fit, and there's just a lot on stage question. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much goes into these competitions. So my first competition, I got second attendant, and then I was going to come back again 2020, but the pandemic obviously happened, and it canceled my competition a week before the competition.
So the first one was 2018.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the girl who was Miss Springville Mapleton 2019, she was also 2019 and 2020. So she had her crown for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I took a year off. I did some internships, like working at the Utah State Capitol. I worked in DC for a little bit for a representative, and then I decided I wanted to come back to pageantry because of all the benefits that I saw myself, learning how to public speak, get involved in my community. So I came back in 2022. Yeah, 2022, which is when I won. And I recently competed at Miss Utah.
How did you feel when you won?
Oh, it was, honestly, I didn't believe it. When they called my name, I was like, there's no way. Me? Really? This time? It's my turn? Because I just felt like, I felt like a lot, because I lost a couple times. I did Miss UVU and I did Miss Utah County, and I just kept losing, and I figured that maybe it wasn't for me.
What did you place? Top 5, top 10?
I got second place every time, first runner up.
Wow.
I was always so close,
how
but
many
never
girls?
enough. Some competitions had 25 girls, and then the Miss UVU had 14.
That's still a good amount, though.
Yeah,
Dang.
It's competitive.
What was
competitive
your talent?
Piano. Yeah.
She's good, bro.
Well, that's
How long have you been playing piano?
I started piano when I was 11. I was in choir, and I loved to sing, and we had a guest pianist play for us, and I told my dad after our recital, I said, Dad, I really like that piano player. Do you think that she could teach me how to play? And he said, yeah, go ask her. So I walked up to a woman named Olivia, and she taught me for 3 years. And then when I came to Utah, I started doing competitive swimming. So I put piano down for a little bit. And it wasn't until I started doing pageants again that it brought my skill back. And it's just been fun. It's really challenging. Just getting on stage, you have this light right above you, and it's such a trip. It's just darkness around you and your fingers are brighter, the keys are brighter, and you just hope that all the work and all the hours that you put into it will pay off and you won't mess up.
So you took second twice, and then you won Miss Mapleton.
Yeah, Miss Springville.
Miss Springville, not Springfield.
Springville, yeah.
Yeah, and when I kept having to repeat that all the time.
Springfield is where the Simpsons live.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm so confused.
Springdale.
Yeah, and then so you were Miss Mapleton for a year.
Yeah.
But it was short. It was shorter. Remember, you said it was like not a full year. Explain that.
Oh yeah. Well, I won in like May or April. But I was still Miss Springville Mapleton for a whole year because I had to wait for the Miss Utah competition. I just had to pass down my crown early.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you came to my office in January, or was it December?
It was in, I think, early December.
Early December. And then you came in, and then we at that time we said, okay, so how many weeks out until your pageant? And it was exactly 30 weeks.
30 weeks.
And then it happened to be the same weekend that I was doing my show. And we're like, wait a minute. So because I wanted to come. I wanted to come to your show. I wanted to be there. I wanted to come support you and see you, but I couldn't. And that was a bummer. And explain the process, because I didn't know they locked you up for a whole week, by the way. So we're going to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
But the goal was to come into the show looking better physically. We grew your quads, your hamstrings, and definitely your glutes.
Yeah.
We worked a lot on your glutes. So, and then obviously upper body as well.
Yeah.
And so from Miss Mapleton to competing with Miss Utah, what was your physique like? Because obviously it changed. So did you feel better with your physique now on stage last weekend?
I think we noticed a difference between when I was crowned, how I looked in my dress, versus when I was passing down my crown and I was walking on stage with my farewell. I just looked better. I looked healthier. And I think it was worth it. I think a big contribution to all that was just eating better, figuring out just
you were eating a
what
lot.
to eat.
You know how much? You remember how much calories you were eating?
No,
I think you were eating like 3,500 calories.
Had you ever had any kind of coach or fitness training or anything like that before Johan? Can you kind of talk about?
I did not like the gym.
Not at all?
No, I never stepped foot in the gym. I swam and I did cardio. That was pretty much all I did.
No real like weightlifting?
No.
What about diet?
No.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just ate whatever my parents made, which it's not terrible
food. It wasn't terrible, but
yeah.
I remember I said you were under eating. Mm-hmm. And so when I was feeding her, and I kept feeding you more and more and more, and you were like, "What is going on? Why are we eating so much food?" And when I start feeding you more and more and more, and you're like, "Okay, why am I eating so much?" I'm like, "Look, you got to trust me, because with your body types, and you start going to the gym, and at some point, actually, you didn't love the gym until towards the end of that, actually. So then you're starting to go to the gym every day."
Yeah.
So you'd say your attitude towards
the gym
and fitness has changed?
Yeah.
Like after Miss Utah, I'm like, it was so nice to go to the gym, not having to have that goal in mind of how I was going to look during the week. Instead, it was, I'm going to the gym as Makencie Klein, and it felt that was really nice. It was a good feeling.
And it's paid off.
Yeah.
And what was the comment that you got? Remember? You told me.
Oh, I had a lot of people come up to me saying that I looked good.
You look really good. Some creepy men too, right?
I mean, so I don't want to know about creepy. They were just trying to be nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, they were. But again, so congratulations. And you placed top 10 or top 15?
Top 15. Mm-hmm. So final night, not many girls get to compete. There's 50 girls, which is a lot. Utah has one of the most prestigious pageants in the Miss America organization in the country. Wow. And a lot of girls are involved. I mean, as I mentioned, with one of the local pageants I did, there's 25 girls competing, and only one gets to go to Miss Utah.
Wow.
I mean, to get to that level is...
So to compete for Miss Utah, do you have to apply and participate or win other pageants to do it? Or can that be your first one? How does that work?
You have to win a local pageant, so you can win Miss Provo,
so just one.
Miss Orem. Yeah. That's your ticket. Once you have your title, that's your ticket to go to Miss Utah. And if you win Miss Utah, you can compete for Miss America, and that's the highest.
That's the highest. Yeah. Wow.
That's
and that's why I want to have you here, because we don't know anything about the pageant. I mean, I watched Seinfeld, and they have like the episode where they were talking about, you know, how Jerry wanted to date one of the Miss Rhode Island, I think, contestant. That was actually a really good episode. So I learned a little bit from that, but I'm like, there's not even close to what you were telling me.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to know. I want to know, how was the process and how much money did you spend? Because you got to buy a couple of dresses. You bought a couple of dresses. I mean, obviously you can buy like $600 dresses or $200 dresses.
Yeah.
But it's two different dresses, right? So
women have with the dresses, and then also with bikini competing. Right. Those bikinis they buy are not cheap. They're not cheap. No.
That's crazy. So what are the process? And then I want to go into like why you guys were stuck in a hotel for a whole week. I didn't know that. Right? So go from preparing your talent to the dresses, the makeup, and what does that process look like?
So I think going into Miss Utah, it's a lot of high stress because every girl there has dedicated an entire year of their life to service and to being involved in the community. I did like 14 parades, so I was on a float waving in multiple cities every weekend.
As Miss Mippleton?
As Miss Springville Mippleton.
I didn't even know there's that many parades.
Yes, Utah loves parades. So
that is true.
A lot of
we were thinking about doing parades here, and I'm like, well, how many parades do we have?
Yeah.
Like crazy. Anyway.
Every city has a parade.
There's one in West Valley this weekend, like today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
What?
Right now, Strawberry Days is going on in Pleasant Grove. I think, today they had their float. Anyway, so a lot has gone into it, and a lot of girls invest a lot in their dresses. For example, my evening gown was $700, which that's a lot, but I bought it and I said, I'm not going to buy another one. If I do decide to compete again, this is the dress that I'm going to win in. And then
that was the blue or the black one?
It's like the blue velvet one.
Okay.
Yeah. Very simple. Anyway, then my piano gown, I was trying to save money, but I had like check boxes. I needed a gown that was sparkly on the back, showed a little skin, had a cape. And I found a dress for that price for like $100, and like Veronica Michaels in Spanish Fork. And I'm like, great. I just love saving money like that. So I think those were the two most expensive gowns that I wore. Like my interview outfit, $30 on Amazon. I was just trying to keep it.
Save money as much as you can.
Budget the best that I could. But I just sewed on like a fancy sparkly button onto my suit, so it looked more sophisticated and more expensive, and it was a huge hit because a lot of times girls wear suits and it's just straight on. Mine had it came in and it had it just went out, like it gave me shape, and I really liked that suit because who doesn't like shape, you know? Exactly. It's very flattering, very classy. So
well, especially now that you've been with the program for 6 months basically. So we've grown. Her before pictures when she sent it to me,
I remember first meeting you.
Yeah.
You were
she comes in and I saw her picture. I was like, where do I go with this? Right? We got 30 weeks. We got 30 weeks to grow as much as we can. And we did. I fed you so much food. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So then moving on to the competition, like you have to practice your walk. It's 20% for your walk, 20% for your fitness.
Wait, 20% for the walk?
Yeah, like evening gown. Your fancy.
Is it like a catwalk? Like you're kind of modeling it and showing it off?
Is that similar to the wave too?
No, you know no waving.
Oh, no waving.
Just like it's your moment to just feel beautiful and walk on stage and just smile and do your little turns. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's 20%. Fitness is 20%. Talent is 20%, which that blew my mind. 20% for talent, which I've dedicated. I don't know how many times I've played it. Probably 3,000 times. And then you compare that to my fitness.
Yeah, what do you do for fitness, though?
You just walk. You smile.
You just walk?
Yeah.
Sorry. So you don't have like a posing coach or anything? You just
Nope. Well, I mean, I just made it up right before I went on stage. I'm like, okay, I think I could do this and put my foot back and, smile this way, turn this way. Which is that's No, that is why I didn't make it to top 10. Because
let's talk about that.
I wasn't practicing my posing. Yeah. I got on stage and I was like, oh crap, I should have thought this through a little bit more, because 20% is a lot, right? Yeah. And then my talent right after, I had never played it that good. It was the best I've ever played it. And
on stage.
Wow. Yeah. So it had to be the fitness. It had to be the posing.
And you knew it too.
Yeah. As soon as I was done, I was like, dang it, I'm not going to make it to the next round.
So what's the biggest piece they judge you on then? If all those are 20, what's like the biggest one?
So interview is 30%.
Okay.
Talent is 20. And then fitness and evening gown is 20 and 20. So that's 40. So I would say the person who has the best walk and the most confidence on stage has, that's
so you just have to walk. So just nail the walk and that's it?
You have to be.
Not essentially, but yeah.
And pretty much, it adds up.
And you also mentioned that the person that won Miss Utah was the first Asian American. That was super cool. Yeah. Wow. I was in shock. And she looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And the way she explained it to me, her talent, and she played piano since she was like super, super young. And the video that she showed me, dude, it was incredible. I mean, she was just rocking it. And you do a very good job too. But I'm just comparing.
Yeah, she made me look like an amateur.
Yo, she looks like
she's been playing since she was 3.
That is crazy.
And she played La Campanella by Litz. And Litz is one of the most difficult composers that you could learn on the piano, or one of their songs. So her hands are just bouncing off the keys.
Let's talk about that. So it's not just here. You have to. Like, how do you explain it?
You have to move. The judges basically judge your talent based off how entertaining was this. Yeah. So it's not like how difficult is this piece, it's how entertaining was this piece.
Well, it's a performance.
It's a performance.
Yeah. That'd be like if you're going to a concert and watching someone play the piano and they're just sitting there you have to have that stage presence. Yeah. You kind of have to be a little over the top with it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So that was super cool when you told me that she was the first Asian American that won.
Ever. First non-white girl to win.
Miss Utah. That is.
Is it mostly because do you think they're like other ethnic groups and things like that? It's just more of like a minority, like just a lot of, white girls compete in pageants, like in general? Do you think there's just like less? Or
definitely there's just not a ton of minorities that compete in pageantry. I think out of all 50 girls, including me, there were only 3 Hispanics.
Wow.
Only 3 Hispanics, including me.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm pretty white.
Is she the only Asian too?
She's the only Asian.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Huge. That's massive.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. What's her name?
Sarah Sun.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Congrats.
And on top of winning, she won Miss Congeniality. So all the girls voted for her, basically like the spirit of Miss Utah, the girl who was the nicest, the one who had the most energy.
I think of a movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about the movie.
Like the movie.
Oh, dude, I immediately was just like...
The movie.
What did she say? Like, August 15th. Yeah. Not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah. I've watched that movie once.
Dude, it's so good.
It was actually not bad. It wasn't bad. That is super cool. Okay, let's talk about why you guys were stuck in there for a whole week. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So we checked in on Tuesday, and we got in our hotel room, did all, packing and everything, unpack and just plan out for the week. Then we did a Show Me Your Shoes parade. So
show what?
Show Me Your Shoes parade. So all the girls have to design their own shoes to represent them or their city. I decided to go with the new Utah state flag, which has a beehive. It's a lot more simpler than it used to be. And I voted on it because I'm precinct chair in Springville. So basically I went to a local school and I was elected precinct chair. So I got to vote at the local level and at the state convention. And one of the things I voted on was the new state flag. So I wanted to show that at the Show Me Your Shoes parade. And every girl, they have their own little, their own shoes, their own representation. And it's a really fun event, and it's free. And then the next day, some girls started their interviews. We had, a pajama party. So there's just a lot of events going on during the week. And then Thursday is when I had my interview. Mm-hmm. And that's when I competed in fitness. Friday, there's 2 preliminary competitions. So at 2 p.m., I competed in my onstage question, and then I did my evening gown. And then I came back later that night at 7 p.m. and I competed in talent. And then Saturday was the final competition where I competed in all of it again. So only the girls who make top 15 get to
the final, right?
Get to start over and show their talent once again.
Oh, so you do the whole
it
thing
all over again.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought you just do it once and then that's it.
So is it kind of like the week leading up to it? Is it you're performing for just the judges, and then that final show where you're doing all of it is more for like family and friends to also come and see, or
no? There's family and there's like the auditorium is complete, like pretty full.
Yeah.
And do they have to pay by day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What?
It was like the cheapest tickets were $60 a day. And obviously, I mean, it's expensive for a reason. They were able to give out $70,000 of scholarships to girls.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
70,000.
Is it just for one winners, or is it like a bunch of different categories?
Multiple girls. So
really,
yeah. If you did really well in a certain category, you could get like $500. But yeah, Miss Utah, she gets a car. She gets $10,000.
A car?
Yeah.
I'm about to compete for Miss Utah.
Yeah. What is going on?
What kind of a car? What are we talking?
So I think Murdoch. Murdoch is the
Murdoch,
sponsor.
yeah.
So
Gotcha.
So they
whatever
do
they
Hyundai.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so too. Yeah. That's so cool. I didn't know that. And then what kind of categories that you can win, and also get the prize money for?
Evening gown, fitness, interview, social media.
Social media.
Social media is a part of it too.
Well, yeah, you can
like interactions or content.
You can win a scholarship for putting out the most social media content that week.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So these are considered scholarships. This isn't money you just put in the bank. You have to use this towards
college.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you have to do that.
Because I was wondering if you won something, it would kind of be a good ROI. Because if you invest all this money in dresses and things, and then you won some money, it's like it would pay for itself. But it sounds like you kind of get scholarship
You have to go to
money?
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I graduated from UVU. Now I have to figure out where to put my money. Where I have to go back to school.
Where do you go?
Continue furthering your education.
Furthering my education.
Wow. So when you're doing all of this, I'm assuming that you also have a job, right? Like a job. How does your job conflict with parades on the weekends, being gone for a whole week? Can you talk about
question.
that? Yeah.
So I think you just have to have balance. That's one of the reasons I started a company with my mom. We paint houses is because I needed more flexible hours. And some certain jobs like working 6 to 12. So you can only really work part-time and you go to school. I honestly have no idea how some of these girls afford competitions going into school. Obviously it pays off, but yeah, it can be tough, and you have to really dedicate that whole year and kind of put your life on hold.
What do you think is the average amount of money that they spend for like getting ready for the competition and all that? Like,
I want to say it could.
What's the highest and the lowest?
Yeah,
maybe dress is not included, because I think that could
dress is not
included? Because that could skew it. Like if someone decided to buy a really nice dress or whatever. What do you think, like essentials? Maybe not nice dresses and gowns, but essentials.
I would say gowns are essentials.
I would say so. Yeah.
Well, I just figured it was like varying price though. Like if you said you spent $700.
Without gowns, that's where all the money goes towards. It goes towards the gowns.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of girls invest in working with the trainer and going to the gym. They just go to the gym.
No. Oh, let's talk about that. Actually, so mind you, so we did a mini cut 6 weeks out. I remember that. So we're like, all right, we're 6 weeks out, and I was 6 weeks out for my show. And I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to do. So we start tapering you off in terms of calories. And your calories wasn't low. I mean, your low calories, I think it was 1,800 calories on the low end. And I remember we cut, and then you look good, you feel good, you look slimmer. Obviously, we lost a little bit of body fat on there. And then you said something about the week of the show. You were telling me what the girls are doing in terms of not eating.
Oh, God. Do we want to know what they were doing? Because
you have no idea. Like,
oh yeah, some girls ate like birds. They did not eat
at all.
They didn't know, or well, it just depends. My roommate, she didn't care. She's like, she's munching on brownies, eating her cookies, drinking her sodas, all the junk food. And I'm like, we're competing in fitness tonight. And she's like, yeah, I know, but I'm gonna be
a fitness brownie in my mouth.
Was that something that you think that maybe you learned, where eating less doesn't necessarily benefit you in a positive way? Was that like a new thing for you to kind of when you started training with him? Can you kind of talk about, I guess the better way to say that would be, what your previous understanding of maybe health and fitness was and what it's changed to?
Well, I never thought starving yourself was good for you, but it made me, like, working with Yo has made me appreciate food and what it can do for me. Because I'm like, I just noticed having a more consistent plan for food, it has helped my mood. It has helped me just think more clearly, which is why I ate during the competition. I'm like, I know I'm going to compete in on stage. I had to eat things, I stayed away from carbs, but I just appreciated that food
Like
does
less
that for
brain
me.
fog?
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
less brain fog.
And you were drinking your waters as well. You were doing about a gallon.
Walking around with my 128 ounces, I got weird looks. Like, why?
So were there other
around?
girls walking around with like
Not
just drinking
at all.
water at all, or were they just?
Yeah, and that's why
water here and there.
that's why I wanted to bring her on because I did my show and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But we wanted to know about your show and how it happens and what people are eating, what they're drinking, and when you were telling me that the girls were not eating at all. And we've seen movies like this, right?
Yeah.
Freaking Devils Wear Prada, where Emily Blunt was not eating for like 24 hours before they do the catwalk thing. And I'm like, I had like a piece of cheese today. And I'm like, what? What in the world?
Yeah.
Just to lose weight. And I thought it was just like a movie thing. But people do this.
No, I was just about to say, even though that
this is
happens
real
in real life,
life.
it's a real
This is
thing.
real.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
And you were eating so much food. Did people ask questions?
Oh, yeah. People were looking at me. I'm like, that's your second plate. And I'm like, yes, it's really good.
Yeah, you should try some.
Yeah.
They were probably starving, and you can't think if you don't have nutrients
No,
going in your brain. Like how do you think?
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised some of these girls can able to answer questions and like walk on stage. Like,
Well, I want to ask. I don't want to find. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this without it sounding, rude. But when these girls are watching you eat and you're walking around with your water and all that, when they ask questions, was that like out of general curiosity? Why are you eating again, or were they kind of like? Were they giving you attitude and kind of thinking like,
or are they judging
what
you?
are you doing? Yeah, are they being pretty judgmental about it?
I think they were just surprised. I don't think it was judgmental.
Yeah.
They were just surprised a skinny girl like me was just pounding that much food during competition week. But we had a lot of good food. So,
Yeah, like in fact, and what she was telling me, there was a lot of people compliment her, and they love her silhouette. Is that what they say?
that was a common theme in the compliments after my evening gown. My silhouette, so yeah.
Yeah, because I saw the pictures,
Yeah.
and I actually saw her pictures when she won Miss Mapleton, and compared it to this one, you can legit see waist, shoulder to waist, and then to glute ratio, which is
Oomph.
The oomph.
Yeah. And so again, if you look at the difference between bodybuilding and Miss Pageant, it's really not much of a difference, to be honest with you, except obviously we don't wear, our dresses and we don't do our fitness walk, whatever. We do our posing. I think the biggest thing for us bodybuilders is that our nutrition has to be 100%. I mean, it's all about nutrition, and and then obviously we care about how we look because we are judged on how we looked. But we were never locked in for a week. We don't have to do interviews. We don't get points we don't get points in posing. We don't get points on anything. Do you know that?
Bro, can you imagine if you had to have a talent?
What would my talent?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Actually, I got one. I got my ukulele out there. You know what I mean?
At that point, I'm really gonna learn how to do taxes.
Nick has never done taxes any better.
I'm gonna look at the head judge and be like, hey, I'll do your taxes.
That's
for
your
you.
talent.
Yeah,
bro.
that'll be my talent.
So we literally show up, we get tanned, and then we get judged by our physique, and that's literally it. And we don't get points. Like, we don't have like, oh, Nick has a better chest than I do. 1 point, 2 point, 3. It doesn't work that way. It's overall conditioning.
If anything, I think it's also pretty superficial too. Like, they just look and they go, I think that person's back looks nicer, or that posing.
Well, there's criteria.
There's
right?
criteria.
There's criteria that they have to follow. So like, they'll, for men's physique, they're looking at the small waist. They're looking, do we have that V taper, the rounded shoulders, the big chest, the back thickness. But they'll just look at us. And 'cause I remember actually our first show that you and I competed in 2020. When I look at my pictures, man, I was a twig. I had no business being on stage. But there was one judge, and I have the scorecard still, that put me at second place and put you at third place. and I've always wanted to know what they saw.
Yeah.
There's really no point system or anything.
There's so you have about 6 or 7 judges. I think it's 7. Usually it's odd. And then they just look at 3 of us or 4 of us and say, okay, first, second, third, fourth.
Yep.
The next judges will say first, second. You know what I mean? Like it's not there's no point system. So that's why bodybuilding sport, to me, my honest opinion, it's so not a lot of people can do it because people get discouraged really easy, and it takes time to build that physique. Yeah. But
there's even been times where you competed, remember, here, and he competed in 2 shows, took 3rd place back to back, went out of state, 1st place immediately, like no questions asked. So it does just kind of come down to
judging's just not consistent.
And different judges has different looks, and whoever the main judges are, they want specific looks. I mean, even though like I said, we all have the criteria, which is Nick was right. And so does that happen in the pageant? Like, do they have like different judging panels all the time?
Different judges, different night, always a different outcome, right?
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I thought it was the same judges the whole time.
Oh, the whole week. I'm just saying, like, it's similar to bodybuilding because if, depending on the judges that you select, they're going to select different people based off of what they think is good.
Gotcha.
And they're only judging these girls for a couple of seconds. Like I was counting, I was only on stage competing for like 17 minutes total, including interview and everything.
Wow.
So I don't get discouraged from where I place, or because I know who I am, I know my worth, and I know that these judges are just doing the best that they can, and they're judging me based off of just a couple of seconds on stage. So I don't take it personal.
Do you think there are still some like inconsistencies with how they judge compared to other people, or is it just so quick that they just have to whatever?
They keep it as fair as possible, and they get to see you twice, right? Yeah. So they narrow it down from 50 to 15. And then everything they're seeing on final night, they've already seen before. So I think that kind of prepares them more to select a really good winner.
Okay. The other question I had is, what was your interview question? Or if we're allowed to know
on
that.
stage?
Yeah. Like,
on stage?
What did they ask you?
Oh, they asked me, as Miss Utah, how will you use social media to spread your message?
Ooh. And what was your answer?
Yeah.
I can't remember word for word, but I always take a moment and I pause and I think about my answer. And then when I speak, I going into the competition, I said, take up space. Don't be afraid to be you. So I just talked about the importance of being real, like be real, being authentic online. People don't want to see girls with big hair, big eyelashes on social media all the time. They want to see an authentic, real girl who's talented. Yeah. So that is one thing that I mentioned. And I also talked about the importance of protecting your dreams. And that's basically the message that I want to share.
And you took space. You did. Yeah. You took your time. Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of conviction. I went on for about 35 seconds speaking, maybe 45. Wow. And usually girls go 15 seconds or so. So it was, I think just going over the time limit a little bit shows that you're comfortable speaking on stage. So I just kind of shared a little bit of my message, the importance of protecting your dreams, because, we all have goals and not everyone will believe that it's possible for you because they don't see the vision that you see. Yeah. So whenever you have doubts, just hold on to your dream, hold on to that vision that you have, and have faith in yourself that it'll happen.
So doing the pageants is something that you obviously love doing. Is that the dream, or like what is the dream?
What's Makencie's
You're talking about
dream?
Protecting the dream. What's the dream? Yeah, what is the dream?
Yeah, well, my dream is to go to Miss America and compete. I believe in God's timing, so I just can only focus on my preparation and being the best version of me. Going to the gym, being the best version that I can be in that category. Working on my talent, being the best in that category, working on my styling, being the best in that category, and working on my mindset and my attitude. There's just so much that goes into it. You can't just be like, I have to win. You have to focus on how can I best prepare.
Loving the process.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, what's that?
There's like
a quote about that too. I think Matthew McConaughey said this in an interview and also in his new book about how he was pretty miserable for a long time making films because he was always waiting for the box office numbers to come in. And when he learned to just enjoy the art of like acting and making the movie, he said that he had more successful movies because he was better.
When we see that with bodybuilding, there's so many guys that they, and girls, they want to compete, but the only thing they're talking about is they're going to win the show. They're going to win the overall. Yep. And then they're not as focused as they need to be for the 15, 18, 20 weeks leading into the show, and then they don't place where they want, and then they're upset about it. It's like if you just relax, enjoy it, put in the work, regardless of where you place, the fact of the matter is you still made it to stage, right? And you still placed.
I never heard Johan talk once about winning. All he ever talked about was, dude, I put in so much work to have a big chest this time.
As long as you
placed first.
Yeah. Well, as long as you beat the physique and you beat what you were able to accomplish from the last show, that's all that matters.
And that's exactly what I did and what these guys were saying. And I never thought about it that way because I genuinely enjoyed my process. I hated it at the same time, but I love it because I learned to love the process because I got comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And so when I did that, and then Nick knows and Colton knows how much I put on this off season, and it shows on stage, and I actually won. And that was my first one in Utah, my first win here in Utah.
You did what, 6 shows here in Utah? 5, 6?
About 6 of them in Utah. And that was my first show.
Honestly, dude, now that I think about it, I think this is the first time you've ever gone into a show and didn't talk about where you would place. I think every other show you've been like, I think this is where I'm going to place. Like, I can't see why not. And you've always placed second or third.
Yep.
This is literally the first show that you were ever like, and I even mentioned it. I was like, dude, like this is that first place thing. And you were just like, nope, just going to bring my best. Like,
that's it.
I did tons of work in my off season and that's all.
Yeah. And I remember going into it backstage with Nick and I was like, bro, like, I think this is it. Yeah. And I felt it. As
soon as you started pumping up and we took those initial pictures to send to Brandon, as soon as I took them and looked at my kids, it's over.
And over. Our words was game over. Yep. And here's a funny part. So I was stretching and this guy that beat me, I mean, again, he's I'm not gonna talk about his physique, but he beat me 2 years ago, and I took third. Actually, I was surprised that I took third. Out of all the shows that I've done, that was the worst feeling I've ever had because I did not agree with the judging panels. I could have come in harder. Yes, I could have come in a little bit bigger. Yes, because 3 weeks later I won. 3 weeks later I went to Vegas. I won. Right, so we made a lot of tweaks from that. But I was stretching, and the guy walks by, and I look up, and I said, Nick, look who that is. And then Nick goes, holy crap. And I'm like, it's game over, dude. And I told him, game over.
As soon as I saw him, I saw you. I'm like, oh no.
Because
he was the same size last year.
So he beat me 3 years ago, and he took second to me this past weekend. Yep. And so I remember I was stretching, and I sent the picture to my coach, and he sent the videos. Well, he took the videos, and I was like, all right, bro, it's game over. I won't tell you who's in the lineup, but it's game over. He goes, who? Just watch. And my coach ended up watching the live feed in Vegas. Wow. Yep. And he immediately messaged me right after I got off stage. I'm like, oh, I know who you're talking about. I'm like, yep, it's done. And that's the first time I actually felt like I deserved to win. Yeah. Because I know how hard I worked. And I never once questioned where I placed and how I did, because I actually genuinely I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I know I put in the work. And that was the very first time that I and Colton's right. That was the very first time that I actually was like, okay, I show up, I do my best, the judges do the rest. Yep. And that was it for me. I would never once said, hey, I'm going to win the show. Never said that. And then I would say, I'm going to win the overall. I never said that either. Whatever happens, and I brought my best. And that was.
Did you ever have a similar experience where you lost to some girls and then beat them in the other pageant, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? Honestly, I don't really have the attitude of I finally beat that person. It was more like, because I placed with girls that I had lost to, and I really showed at Miss Utah that I am competitive and I do have a lot to offer and I could be Miss Utah. Mm-hmm. And
so it was a more rewarding feeling than like I won.
It was rewarding, but I also felt really grateful to be alongside them and just be with them, because I looked up to them. They really care about their community, and so it was
great competition.
One thing that is similar with Yo is, we didn't really have that expectation. I had no expectations. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to place on finals night. I just know I did my best. And one thing that Yo told me that really helped me with just my mindset was just show up as a winner. Yeah. You don't have to have the crown on your head to walk around like a winner. Yep. And that's exactly what I did.
Just getting on stage is a win.
Yeah. And then I texted you following day or Saturday or Sunday, and I said, hey, how did it go? And your message to me was, I showed up. You said I placed, and I showed up as a winner. And I'm like, that was it for me. I'm like, cool. I'll talk to you on Tuesday when I see you.
Yeah.
And that was it. I didn't ask a lot of questions. And because I was looking through your Instagram, you didn't really post a lot. Maybe you did. I just missed it because I was busy too. But when you texted me that, I'm like, okay, you showed up. That's
Yep.
That's
I
it.
showed up as a winner.
Well, another question I have. So with bodybuilding, so after our shows, we can reach out to the judges and get feedback.
Yeah.
Can you do that? They don't get feedback at all.
They don't.
It's just you place where you place, and then you just have to figure out.
Yeah.
Because you were saying you think it was the fitness routine.
Yeah.
But
I know.
What if it's not?
I know
What?
so,
Yeah, exactly. What if it's
because
not? How do you know?
I stuttered on stage. I had my pose, and I was waiting for them. I was waiting for my voiceover to start playing, but it felt like eternity. It was not playing, and I'm like, maybe it's not going to play. So I took a step forward, and then my voice started going off, and then I kind of took a step back. I just messed up, and then I looked at the judges, and I immediately saw them all start writing on their paper. I'm like, I haven't even started.
So going into the next competition, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to the question, but what are you going to do differently to prepare for just the entire thing? Are you going to focus a lot on the fitness routine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, work on my health, because they don't judge on how good your body looks.
Yeah.
It's all about confidence. But I think at the end of the day, people still judge.
Absolutely.
If they see, wow, that girl's put a lot of work into the gym, she looks great, obviously you're going to get a lot of points.
Yeah.
Because visual is everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because the first thing anytime we go places, it's the visual.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't go to the certain movie theaters because it looks kind of.
Dude, I'm the same way. People give me crap out all the time. I'm like, I won't go there. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because I don't like it. The vibe's off, bro. Like, I don't want to go there.
I live in Lehigh, right next to the Thanksgiving Point Megaplex, and I drive to the district in South Jordan because
I go to Geneva, bro. Geneva's top tier.
Is it?
Yeah, Geneva's way better.
Where's Geneva?
That's in Orem. It's over by the Harley dealership.
Oh,
it's the newest one.
Yeah.
It's
Yep, I know that one.
Did you go to that one? Because you live down in.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We got to check it out.
I think one of my nephews works there.
We'll have to go. We'll go
free
see
popcorn.
Fast X or Transformers.
Yeah.
Dude, let's go see
The new one. Okay, so what's next? What's next for you?
Well, regarding pageants or in life?
Just
wait, hold on. Before you answer that question, was that the biggest stage you've ever been on?
Yeah, that was the biggest audience I've ever been in.
How many people, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know how many people. I couldn't give you a number. I wish I could, but it was at Capitol Theater, and it's a gorgeous theater. The pioneers knew what they were doing. Like, there's just this enormous chandelier at the top of the ceiling.
Wow.
So many women have been crowned on that stage. It's just there's just a lot of history, and
they
it's
built
just
it for pageants.
No.
I've never been there,
I
so
think
I
they
don't
have
know.
plays and stuff. There's a lot of plays, and there's a wall with a bunch of celebrities that.
I think John Legend performs there.
It's in
When it comes
downtown,
down
and
to
they
it.
do a lot of stuff for the film festival there.
Oh,
So they
yeah,
do a lot of
okay.
premieres, and it's it's a theater.
I think I remember watching, looking into watching John Legend. I think that was his theater that he was.
Big theater.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So like during rehearsals, looking at the ceiling, I was like, "Holy!"
Was that scary?
I got a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, "This is a huge theater. This is a really big deal." So
That's big.
but you
That's
persevere.
Big. That's big for you. That's huge.
But what's next? I mean, now, so
Yeah.
you competed. It's done. So like the dust is kind of settled. So what's the plan for the next year, or what are you gonna start
with
doing?
fitness, I'm just gonna work on it until I can't mess it up, and it's just gonna be so polished and good. And then, obviously, it's working out is an unfinished lifestyle, right? So going back to
I like how you
go
kind
back
of
to
just
the gym. Oh yeah,
Yes.
Shameless promotion.
Love it.
Do you have what are some of your, like you said you want to work on fitness with pageantry, but what about with your coach? Like, what are some of your new fitness goals and things for this next, like what's next with that?
I just want to continue to grow. My whole life, I've been thin, just on the thinner side. I had a friend in elementary school. We would make fun of each other. I'd make fun of his football head, and he would make fun of the fact that I was skinny. One of the things he said was, "You're so skinny, you could hula hoop in a Cheerio." And I'll never forget it. That
Scarred you for life. That's pretty
I
funny.
think it's
What was
funny.
his name?
His name was Kai.
Yeah, Kai, you traumatized her. She's
Yeah.
joking about it now, but it's trauma.
Thanks a lot, Kai.
That's trauma.
Thank you, Kai. But yeah, just continuing to grow and just, I don't need to be thick. I mean, people love being thick, but I don't need to be thick to be beautiful. I think I'm beautiful how I am, but I just want to continue to work on my glutes, work on my thighs, and Just being healthy.
Yeah.
Most importantly.
And I think, first of all, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
23.
23. So you're 23 years old. You've been on one of the biggest stages in Miss America, Miss Utah, which is super cool, by the way. And what was the age like? What was the age gap between you and all the other girls? Like, because I know there's some girls that are a lot older, right? Or is there like a
is there age limit?
Well,
yeah.
So girls can compete from the ages of 18 to 28.
Okay.
And there you have some 19-year-olds, and then you also have girls up to 26.
Wow.
So I was just right in the middle.
Okay, so it's not bad. So I thought I forgot about that age limit. I didn't know you guys have an age limit. Yeah. Why is that? Do you know?
I don't know. 20. They just like to keep it to the Miss. You know,
right.
Because
it's Miss Utah.
Yeah.
Got it. Not
so
Mrs. Utah.
You can't be married. You can't have.
You can't be married to compete.
No.
Yeah, let's
actually. I was gonna say, especially in Utah, there's a lot of girls that get married at 2021.
Yeah, Miss
Utah,
Miss Utah.
Not Mrs.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a Mrs. Utah.
Do they?
For women who are married.
Well, I actually had one client that did.
Did Mrs. Utah?
Mm-hmm. Well, she represented Mrs. Utah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bodybuilding shows are a little different. Yeah. Like, there's been times where Johan is competing, and he's 29, 30.
I'll be 31 this year, yeah.
And then there's somebody else that's 65 standing right next to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So there's no age limit. Yeah. Which is awesome, because anytime that I see someone backstage,
and some of these guys that are like 65, insane how good they look.
I always take my time to come backstage and say, hey, I don't care how old you are. I noticed that you're in the masters category, right? Either that's 35, 45, or 40, 45 and over. And I said, if I could look like you or be like you when I grew up, when I'm with that age, you're winning. Because you know how many people there are. I hate talking about this. I don't like talking about this, but America is getting to the point where people are getting more and more and more obese, and it's scary. It's like I'm watching WALL-E at some point, because it's getting to that point. They're predicting 2035, or was it 2050, over 50%.
People aren't getting obese in their adulthood either. Children now, because back in the day, it used to be you would grow up and then become overweight. Yeah. Now, like, how many not only overweight people do you see, but children? Because obviously your children follow you by example.
Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. So I was in Florida last year for my buddy's wedding, and we decided to take an early trip, and we would go to Orlando. And I remember I was sitting in a plane, and the guy sitting next to me, and I was sat in the middle, and then baby and mama was on the right. And the guy had to literally sit like to the edge of the corner, because he was big. He wasn't the biggest guy, but he was big. And I wasn't lean at that time either. So I was a little, because I was finishing my bulk at that time. And I was like, I'm like this, right? And then I realized that over 80% of the people that are walking into the plane, because they're all going to Orlando, they're all going in, and then they brought their kids. And I noticed, I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit more overweight people in the plane. That's okay. And then I landed in Orlando, and I remember we were there super late, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and we went to the cafeteria. We went up to the cafeteria. It was super late. We had to eat something. First of all, anywhere you go in Disneyland or Disney World especially, there's no option in healthy foods. Like, I could not get any...
Tell me you don't want like a massive turkey leg or a
churro. There's a turkey leg.
It is... I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I was inflamed.
Yeah.
Day one, I was inflamed. Like, I was bloated because my body didn't like the foods that I was
and
eating.
being on the plane,
dude,
that
it was
long,
so bad.
There,
And then we got to the cafeteria. It was late at night, and I look up, and I remember I got my food, so I got like a chicken rice bowl, which was garbage because the chicken was like orange chicken. It was crusty, and it was so much sugar on it. It was whatever. So I was eating, and I look up, and I scan the room. And again, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but I just scanned the room, and it was like over 90% of the people in that room late at night were overweight, and their kids are also, I'm talking 7 to 12 years old, and they're also overweight. And what are they eating at 10 o'clock at night? It was hamburgers, it was pancake, pizza at 10 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And it's not the kids' fault, but at the same time, this is what I preach to all of my clients and even my social media. The adults, us, we have to lead by example. You cannot restrict food from your kids. You can't. Do not tell them, hey, the burgers is going to make you fat. Pizza is going to make you fat. That is the worst thing that you can do to a kid because they soak it in and they're like, we talked about it this morning on our call. And they soak it in and they're like, well.
It ruins their relationship with food.
Yep.
And then now we have to deal with adults that are in our office saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So it all starts from when they're young. And
But I also think it's a cultural thing here in the States because, like you said, we go anywhere and we're the 1%. Like even you, Makencie, because you aren't overweight. You've never been overweight. Neither have I. So we're like an even like smaller demographic of people. But in Spain, when I was there, I saw one guy in the 2.5 weeks I was there he was big. That was it. Everyone has to walk everywhere. The food is fresh. It's not ultra processed. With salt, it's not this iodized shit. It's the actual like sea salt, right? It's like a pink Himalayan salt. Everything's clean. And you're walking everywhere. In Barcelona, everything's within walking distance. So I didn't see anyone that was overweight. Like there was older couples. I was telling Cameron, I was talking to someone when my wife and I were walking to our doctor's appointments. It was the same time every day we'd have to go to the clinic. And the exact same time on the same corner of the same street would be the same elderly couple in like their 80s or 90s walking. And they can do that. But here, you're not going to see anyone being able to do that or 80 or 90, let alone live to be that old. Yeah. And it's food. It was a scary, and I'm not even in the resort yet. It was just the hotel was part of the resort. And when we get to the resort, and this is the most frustrating thing for me. And I remember we were standing in line because you have to get in the shuttles, right? The shuttles can only fit so many people. Mm-hmm. So when the shuttles pulls up and you notice there's a line of people on the left side, the handicapped line, 9 times out of 10, if not almost 100% of the people that are on the handicap, on the little wheelchair thingy, motorized scooter, they're overweight. Yep. And so the bus pulls up, they have to cater to them first, right? Which, understandable, I get it. Mm-hmm. But they can only do 1 or 2 at a time, 3 max. Yeah. And then the rest of us gets in. And you got to understand, we're in Orlando. Everybody have a stroller. Yeah. I had to literally put the stroller on my lap the whole entire time because there were so many people. And part of the reason why the bus was so full was because of the 3 or the 2 handicap or overweight person that was taking so much space. And I'm just like, it's hard for me to go places now because of what we do for a living. Mm-hmm. And when I see overweight parents and then feeding their kids not so healthy food, because remember, there's no such thing as bad food, but there's such thing as better choices of food.
Yep. Mm. Do you think you get blindsided sometimes from being a coach that it's like, wow, like I didn't realize?
I don't. For me, it's not necessarily that. I look at it as, what happened in this person's life that led them to get to this point, right? Because they didn't choose. Yeah. Well, I guess in a way they did.
I guess rather what's not happening because they're not going.
Well, for me, it's more like what are they struggling with? Like what's going on mentally and emotionally that allowed this person to get to that point, right? Because everyone's born. We're all born, unless it's a health condition. We're all born and we all grow up, and as kids we're underweight. That's just how it is, and you grow into your body. As your hormones start kicking in, you start filling out. But somewhere along the way, something must have happened that caused this person to start binging and start doing this. And I have friends I play soccer with who are a year older than Johan and I. And they're like, I wish I had the metabolism I had in high school. And it's like, well, you should. Studies have shown that the metabolism doesn't slow down until you're like 63. So in theory, 65. You should still be able to eat McDonald's at 4 o'clock in the morning and not gain weight. But something happened. They may blame it on marriage or having a kid. And it's like, well, that's an excuse. But what happened to you? And so I just look at it as I feel horrible that these people are dealing with something that led to that. And how are they feeling now?
And it doesn't help that after they got done playing soccer, where do they go?
Oh, my God. So if my dad listens to this, I'm going to call him out right now.
I'll call him out right now.
I'm calling out my dad.
Dragisha. Dad, I'll call you out right now.
So my dad's name's Dragisha. Dad, I love you more than I love breathing. But the dude comes to me the other day and asks, so if someone wants to cut, what should they do about lowering their carbs? And the first thing I said to him was, Dad, you understand that every Tuesday and every Friday after our games, you go to Wiener Schnitzel. Right. So stop that right there, and you're going to cut.
Are they still in business?
My dad's keeping them in business. Yeah, exactly. He goes there and gets it, and then he'll have my sister's kids and my brother's little boy. He takes them to a spaghetti factory and they eat, or they go get stuff, and then he gets it. He's like, oh well, we were out, so I stopped at Crown Burger and got like €4. And I'm like, bro,
that stuff is good in moderation. You know what I mean? Yeah. But one thing I do want Oh, okay.
Well, I was going to say, but my dad can get away with it, and I'm glad that I got his genetics because the dude's 58 and he's in incredible shape. He can still play soccer.
Your dad's crazy.
He looks phenomenal. So it's like, okay, he can get away with eating the Wiener Schnitzel and all that, but I don't know any other 58, 59-year-olds. They think about Wiener Schnitzel and they have a heart attack.
Dude, people that are 58, 59 should be athletic like your dad playing soccer, but they're wearing Velcro shoes.
And by the way, he has literally no cushions or anything.
This is the other thing I want to call my dad out on. He gets on my case when I have an injury and I continue
Maybe we
to
should
play.
Bring your dad on the show.
Yeah, we should. Oh, that would be horrible.
No, we'll be here for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
He tore his ACL, I think, when I was like 7 or 8 playing soccer because he played at a semi-pro level, wanted to go pro, but stuff happened, he didn't. The doctor told him, you cannot play for a year. You need to let it recover. Guess what he was doing 3 months later? And now he has no cartilage in his knee. So
literally,
None.
he doesn't walk normal.
No,
What would the doctor know?
the doctor tells him, like, dude, you need to have a knee replacement. I'm fine. I'm not going to do surgery. Blah, blah, blah. And he gets all grumpy about it. And then he comes to me, hey, so question, what should I do about this? And I'm like, bro, stop eating
He asks you
Wiener
the same questions like every week.
I text him all the time,
will
like my
ask
dad.
me sometimes too, or like he'll be like, "What should I do?" I'm like, "The same thing I told you months ago."
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my dad Googles stuff, and then he does it for a month and comes back, yeah, you were right.
Back to your question, Colton. I think for me, again, it's what Nick was saying. It's psychological terms behind that because when I look at someone that are overweight, it's not that I'm saying, oh wow, this person's overweight. It's not just the physical. I always ask, okay, what made this person, what triggered this person to be here? Because you got to understand, like, it takes them time to get there.
Yeah.
And when you want to lose weight eventually or lose fat, you don't just wake up in the morning and be like, hey, I want to lose weight today. I want to lose 30 pounds today. Yeah. You've been thinking about it every day for the last 5-10 years, if not more. So that's the number one question that I always get with my clients. I'm like, why now? Why did you want to start this now?
Yeah.
And most of them said, well, I want to live with my kids. I want to run with my kids. I want to be healthy.
That's the biggest thing. Nobody's ever like, oh, I just want to lose weight, just because people all the time
something happened.
Yeah.
The same way an event happened that caused them to put on the weight. Something happened to them that made them realize
something has to click.
I've got to change.
Heidi's and Holly's dad wants to be active so he can keep being a wrestling coach. Amanda told us that she wanted to be able to like take her kids up the stairs and not be, winded. It's always like noble things like that.
But something has to happen.
Yeah.
Like for me I was sitting in the car. I was wearing jeans just like that, and I couldn't believe that my stomach was over my jeans. And when I put my seatbelt on, I couldn't see the seatbelt because it was my Wow. So I've been skinny.
Yeah.
I've also been overweight.
That's when I met him.
Yeah.
We met.
So I met Colton when I was overweight for my height.
We worked at the same company, and so he went from Fat Yo to Fit Yo.
Fat Yo to Fit Yo. Fat Yo to Fit Yo. And so again, back to what Colton was saying. It's not that I'm noticed obese people because of what I do. Yes and no, because I do notice it more, but it's more on the mental side of it. It's like, why did this person? Because then I look at them. And then I always have to look for their kids because every time when the parents are overweight, their kids nine times out of 10 are overweight, and I feel bad for the kids because it's no fault through their own. And it's the same thing with Ozil, with my little boy. Like he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know. I mean, he wanted me to make protein ice cream with him this morning because we made it yesterday. I'm like, dude, you can't have that for breakfast, bro. I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm not gonna make that for breakfast for you, right? And so I think for us as coaches, our job is to teach people how to eat healthy. I want to teach you how to eat healthy and be healthy for the rest of life. Because by the time you have kids, you know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know not to restrict foods from your kids. You just don't have it at the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when we go out, we have cheat meals. We have cheat meals.
Yo, when we go out,
we eat.
go out.
We go out. We eat.
out.
Like we don't like every time I call
a
him, I'm like,
lifestyle.
it's
Where
a
do you guys
lifestyle.
go when you go out?
Are you talking about cheat meal?
bro.
Yeah.
Talking about cheat
He
meal right
likes
now?
Olive Garden for whatever reason.
Oh my
he
God,
likes
I know.
Olive Garden,
Bro.
He'll be like, let's go somewhere nice, like Olive Garden.
I'll just eat salt and cardboard.
My Italian friend John hate me for this because one of my favorite Italian restaurants, is actually Olive Garden. Just like Panda.
That's like saying your favorite Mexican restaurant's Taco Bell.
I know. Panda's not a real Chinese food, right? And I know that, but I still like it. Yeah. I still like it. But the reason why I love Olive Garden because I get to have their pasta carbonara with chicken, shrimp, and bacon. When you go to real, authentic Italian restaurants, you're not supposed to put meat on their pasta.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
flour
ordered.
pot.
I went to a legit Italian place and I ordered chicken parm, and there were
Mm-hmm.
no noodles, and I was like, it was
Yeah.
still really good, but it came with other stuff.
Yep.
You know, didn't come
Mm-hmm.
with noodles.
So they put bacon or ham sometimes, but that's it.
Wow.
So that's why I like
Yeah.
Olive Garden better. So what is your cheat meal? Which
Ooh. Mine's kind of lame because my cheat meals are usually lunchtime. So I like.
so you like lunch cheat meal? I
yeah,
like breakfast cheat
I like
meal. That's
lunch
for me.
cheat meal.
Like
So
pancakes,
kebab.
French toast,
Kebabs.
Chipotle.
kebabs.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm a breakfast guy.
Unpopular opinion: Chipotle is ass.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't like
do not
Chipotle.
like Chipotle.
Why?
I-
So what do you get from
No.
Chipotle though?
I just
So
get
I
the
tried-
rice bowl.
Okay, because I've tried the burrito
No.
both times that I've been there. Not the move.
It's the
No.
rice bowl for me
I
because
get the rice bowl.
You get the rice bowl?
Yeah, the
Tortilla
rice
on the
bowl.
side though.
I
on the
have.
side.
Tortilla on the
Tortilla
side.
on the side. That's what I've heard. People like they'll eat it and then they'll take the tortilla and like hold it and
And
like
eat it.
like
Okay.
like it's a piece
good.
of string cheese
I just
or
get the
something.
bowl because you get more food out of the bowl
Yeah.
too.
I agree. I agree.
You can get one bowl and then 2 tortillas and
Yeah.
have enough for 2 burritos, or you can get Chipotle for $4 if you just order. If you order online as a taco, like if you
didn't
order
you say
the
that you like
tacos-
saving money?
yeah,
There you go.
$4 because I like.
But sometimes when you go to restaurants, when you tell them that you want to order to go, you get more food to go.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I always that's so when I go to Panda, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, we're
stay
gonna
to
get
go.
to
And I'm like, oh, it's to go. But then I end up eating there
inside
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
because
Have
it's
you
like
ever seen like if you go to like Costa Vida or Cafe Rio and you get a burrito and somebody's just slapping the meat
Yo.
on there? And
That's
you're
I
the
like,
love
best. The worst
love
is when you
that.
have a skinny person
like a
serving your
stickler.
food.
Yeah.
And then they don't give you enough. They just give you what they think they would
Like,
eat.
dude, is this a
I'm
burrito for ants?
I'm paying the same amount, and I'm getting half.
I
That's
always
what
do this. I always do this. I'm like,
Like,
bro,
give me
hey,
more.
hook it up, dude.
Yeah.
Hook it up. I always say that.
Yeah, they'll scoop me like no, like I need more. Okay,
Dude,
they'll
I
do
would-
one more. I'm like, bro, like do like 7.
Yeah.
I went
Scoop.
to Costa Vida recently, and now they have a scale. They're only allowed to put in a certain ounce of.
No
Costa
way.
Vida?
Yeah,
We're not
Costa
going
Vida.
there anymore.
No.
Dude,
No
it hurts my
way.
heart because like it's better than Cafe Rio. Unpopular opinion, Cafe Rio, their rice is always crunchy and their
I like
tortillas are not as
Costa.
good. Costa Vida,
I like Costa too
Way
because
better.
they have the smaller salad op.
Portions,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
small portion. I like that. Cafe doesn't.
See, I'm boring with my cheat meals. Half the time, like when I was with you, he would get on my ass because I wouldn't get a cheat meal.
No,
So I'm
he
like,
he
dude,
got mad at me too. I was like, I
Nothing
want
sounds
sushi,
good.
and he's like, that's it. Go get a burger or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'll
no,
get
that's a lie.
sushi.
Sushi's my favorite
Yes.
cheat meal.
I'll get sushi, but I keep it clean.
Yeah,
And I'm
listen,
boring.
this
I
is-
get I get spicy tuna
Listen.
rolls, spicy salmon rolls. If there's an unagi one with the eel, I'll get that.
Unagi.
I get a Philadelphia roll.
Nah, bro.
All good. Because then it's more of a refeed than a cheat meal, and I feel fine. Because if I get
Yeah.
True.
if I get too much stuff on it, or if it's the deep fried
True.
nasty stuff, I feel gross after.
Yeah.
But half the time I can't decide what I want, so I just don't get a cheat meal at all. I'd rather just
Yeah.
eat my chicken and rice and call it
a
good.
lot of speaking about sushi, a lot of people, you know, I'm not saying sushi's not clean. I think it's definitely
that whole glass of
Oh, yeah. That was full.
I think it's definitely one of the cleanest cheat meal for sure for
Yeah.
me. But I feel like because they put something in the rice. I don't remember exactly
Where?
on the sushi.
So the sticky rice for sushi.
Yeah, they put
Oh,
something
yeah.
in the rice that I don't remember exactly what it is. I was talking to one of my bodybuilding friends. I can't remember exactly. I gotta do my research on that. But my favorite is when I go in and I like to order like 2-3 rolls.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are dirty and then 1 clean. That's kind of like my standard.
You get a couple like deep fried rolls.
No.
Not deep fried, but
I
just like
love the
the-
deep
like
fried.
more of like the
deep
eel
fried with
sauce
like
and
cream
stuff like that.
cheese.
Yeah,
bro.
that's not
Oh,
sushi
yeah.
though.
No, that's not sushi. No.
not
Dude,
sushi,
come on,
bro.
yeah,
Come on.
deep fried with cream cheese and like
Spider
crabs.
But
or
I
something
started,
on it.
Yeah.
but I started that. I've never had sushi until I moved to Utah.
What?
My very first sushi roll was here down the street. It's one across the street from Walmart, the one where we in Riverton.
In Riverton.
Fortune cookie.
Yes. Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Listen. You guys are gonna laugh. You know who I went with? It was my Italian friend John.
Good old.
He goes in there. I'm like, hey, whatever you want, bro. I'm looking at the menu. I was 20 years old. I think
This is when you were at Ashley.
Yeah.
Right?
19 or 20
Yeah.
years old. I wasn't 21 yet. No, I was 21 because I was drinking
get the sake?
I was drinking Sapporo. Like it's a
the
Japanese beer.
Sake.
No,
No, not sake.
it's called
no. It's a beer.
it's a beer called
a brand
Sapporo
beer.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
you're talking about the makeup
Yeah.
place.
So I'm reading the menu, and so I told the lady. She goes, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Is there any cooked meat for sushi?" And she goes, "What?" So my very first sushi was the Vegas roll.
Wow.
Which is a great roll to start with.
Which is not bad. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I started venturing out to more raw.
The Vegas and the California roll, I think, are the two starter rolls.
I think mine was the bagel roll. And it was a deep fried one that had eel in it.
Yeah.
And
so
it was pretty good.
So and mind you, I'm Asian, right? So I grew up in Malaysia where we don't eat anything raw, period. First of all, we don't. Not that I know of, not that I remember anyway. And so when I went to the sushi restaurant and I started with the Vegas roll and then I slowly moved on to now I can have whatever I want. But I had to start somewhere. So a lot of people that doesn't like sushi, you have to go. Yeah, you try deep fried first, but you have to go with someone that knows sushi. You have to go with someone that knows where to go for sushi.
You know what's funny? You go your whole life with your parents telling you don't eat raw food.
Yeah.
And then you hit around like 7, 9. They're like, okay, it's time to eat raw food.
Have you had sushi and cookie dough before? You're like, bro, what?
What? I didn't know cookie dough was a real thing either.
Yeah.
Until I moved here.
I think they made cookies.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't think people eat cookie dough.
Oh, yeah,
It
dude.
was so good.
But people now
I
eat.
get in trouble for eating cookie dough.
I would rather
don't know.
eat a bowl of cookie dough
Than
than cooked
cookies.
cookies.
Oh,
Really?
100%.
Yeah.
I never.
100%.
Yeah.
However, a hot chocolate chip cookie fresh out the oven with a glass
good.
of milk, bro.
See, I never had that luxury.
Santa Claus?
I remember my grandparents, my mom, my dad was like, "Do not waste your food. You put the food on your plate. You eat it all. Like before. I don't know if is that your culture, kind of, because you're like half Mexican, yeah.
What part? Oh, like not wasting food?
Yeah, not wasting food.
Yeah. I mean, we have first breakfast, second breakfast.
What do you have?
Second
Wait,
breakfast.
what do you?
Are you a hobbit?
What do you? I need to know
What
this.
about second breakfast?
What do you eat?
Well, we like eat rice. We eat beans for breakfast, and we have a lot of bread, like conchas and tortillas with
Yeah, I was gonna say
everything.
tortillas.
What about meat, though? Like chorizo and all that? Did your family eat a lot of that?
We eat a lot of that too.
Carne asada?
Carne asada.
Tostadas, bro.
Do we need to go to your house?
Yeah.
pozole.
We should do this.
I
in your
love
house.
menudo.
Well, this is what's so awesome. My dad's a chef, and he cooked on movie sets for 25
Your dad's a
years.
chef?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So he worked in, what is that
cooked-
called? Catering.
Yeah,
right?
he did. He was in the catering business, and he cooked for all the celebrities on set. And so I was already spoiled with that food. And then my mom, she's from Mexico, so she brings all the ethnic food, and it's just
Spicy.
That's a
great
riot.
time at my house.
How are you so skinny? I have
I
no
know.
idea.
My dad says never trust the fat chef because you know where the food went.
Yep. I like that.
What?
See,
He ate all the food.
we're going to blame on
Slow.
the fact you've had like 20 grams of carbs today.
50.
50.
I'm
Oh,
done
okay,
for
yeah.
the
So you
day.
should have gotten that like right then.
High carb day.
Yesterday was a high carb day, so I feel good
Did you
today.
get 300?
Two.
Two?
Yeah, I was sad. I wanted 300, but that's okay.
Yesterday was a low day for me. I only got 400.
Okay. Well, we were talking about obesity.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you a question
We
that
went
I got
way
in
off
my
topic.
interview.
Oh, okay.
So a pageant question, and I'm going to ask you. You're in a pageant, okay?
Oh, okay.
You're on stage.
So I'm
it's
on
a
stage.
political question.
Got it.
Hope you're ready.
Are you sure you want to ask
Hope you're
this? I don't
ready.
think you're prepared for what he's about to say.
This is it. It was good.
A little giggle.
So,
all right.
all right. Well, congratulations, Johan.
Thank
Our
you.
question for you is: Congress people are trying to pass legislation to widen the seats on an airplane. Should we widen the seats on an airplane, or should people just lose weight?
We talked about this yesterday.
Is this in
No, you're
response
on
like that?
stage.
Okay,
to that-
sorry,
to
my
that-
bad, my bad.
30 seconds.
I'm
Is
on
this in
stage.
response to that TikTok?
What?
That
Was
you've seen yeah, there's like the reason it's like a big thing right now is because somebody who's overweight posted on TikTok saying that
Oh, yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
should either
Yeah.
widen the
People are
seats or it's
complaining.
free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna time you. I'm gonna get a timer here.
Okay. All right. 30 seconds?
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
The good questions. I don't think airlines should accommodate 100%. Here's why. Because what happens if you do, then number one, we have less seats on the plane. Number two, then it allows the society or the community to be it's okay to be overweight. But it's not, right? What people see physically versus internally is two different things. They could be so much more things are wrong internally. And yeah, I know it's impossible for me to answer that in 30 seconds.
She went over on hers, so just
I know, but
take up space, Joe.
But like honestly, I don't think the airline should accommodate for that because it's not fair for everybody. Nope. It's not fair for the society, but at the same time, I think it enables them to not lose weight. So now we're catering to people that are obese. I understand that people have conditions. Mm-hmm. I get all that. If you can't lose weight, I get all that. But the ones that are fully capable, they should start changing their lives because we're I don't think that
I think the word you're looking for is enabled. It's enabling behavior.
It is. And it's so hard for me to talk about it because I get so passionate and so emotional about it because it's so.
But I also know that you are very understanding as well. You're not mean like, oh, they should just lose weight. No. You say, hey, I'm sorry that you got that way, but medically speaking, it's not healthy.
It's not.
However, you are emotionally supportive. Like, I understand, like, approving of yourself, liking yourself the way that you are, that is important. However, period, medically speaking, that is not healthy.
No, it's not. And again, if one airline is going to do it, you know what's going to happen. Everyone else is going to do it because they need to make money. Yep. And then we have to accommodate people to do that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years down later, and now everybody's obese because we've been enabling them from the get-go.
Yeah.
But
that is the big problem.
The unfortunate thing with this topic is in the industry we're in, we want to talk about, people ask us questions, but we have to be careful with how we word it because they think that we're fat shaming. This isn't fat shaming. Like, I do believe that everyone is beautiful regardless of how big or how small you are. But from, like what Colton just said, from a health standpoint, it's more, you need to address root cause. That's the issue. And I feel like with this individual we're talking about who started the TikTok and they're, trying to, make this a big deal. I don't think they're necessarily doing it because they really want the airlines to do that. She's just mad and she's trying to get attention and she's trying to start something and she's trying to use her voice in a platform. It's like, that's fine, but you need to use it for something that actually makes sense and that matters. Airlines are not going to do that. And it does suck that you have to pay for 2 seats. That's terrible because I know how expensive flights are. But at the same time, like that's
also
the reality.
Your problem.
Exactly. But
not
in a nice way, that's the reality of your situation is you put yourself in that position. Yeah. So, what are they supposed to do about it?
And then what's next? Airline, and then now are we gonna
buses, trains, movie theaters,
lagoons. Disney World, Disneyland, like now,
theaters, anything like that has to be accommodated.
This country likes to talk a lot about health and fitness. Well, not necessarily fitness, but just trying to be like the healthiest version of you. And it's this big epidemic and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well then this is gonna kind of sound weird, but then why the hell is porn blocked? Why is that a public health crisis, but being obese isn't? No one has actually stepped up and addressed this. I haven't seen anyone in politics sit down and actually say, okay, we need to reevaluate what we're doing for health. I would love to see what we do be a part of like health insurance. People can actually use that to pay for us.
And the worst part about this whole thing,
but they can't.
Now,
health insurance pay coaches? Like people could contact their health insurance,
or I want to see people going to therapy and psychiatrists instead of prescribing your bullshit pills to help someone with their depression, anxiety, where I've seen so many people on antidepressants where a side effect of that pill is suicidal thoughts. So how's that helping their depression? I want to see them and doctors actually say, instead of here's a prescription, go to Walmart and pick up your medicine, here's a prescription, or here's, like how they do for physical therapy, except that we're going to send you to a nutritionist. We're going to start working on that. I genuinely feel if we actually started focusing on getting blood work done, let's look at hormone imbalances, let's look at your current lifestyle and start addressing that root cause, that's going to solve a lot of these issues. And then we won't run into these issues of people who are wanting plane seats to be bigger. We're not going to see any of this anymore.
The worst part about that, let's just say it happens. Airlines doing it, everyone else is doing it, and then we talk about cars, parks, recreational stuff, right? And then they're now targeting kids. Because right now, it's just, anyway, back to your question. I think it's crazy. I understand people that have conditions, but we're enabling people that are overweight to fix their health.
Have the ability to do it.
They have the ability to do it. It's again, it's not just the physical. It's the internal. Because they don't know what's wrong with them on the inside. Because they've never got their blood work done. They haven't had their physical done, right? High blood pressure, heart conditions, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you can pay all the seats you want. But if you're going to die on the plane because of heart attack simply because you're overweight, that's a bigger problem.
It's a lack of accountability. Like I look at these people, it's like this woman, And again, I don't know her, and this is just a genuine question I have, but has she ever been held accountable for anything in her life? Because I'm willing to bet my life on it being no, she hasn't. Because if she has, I don't think she'd be making this big of a deal out of it. Yeah. But these people who do that, they don't want to face the accountability of this is your fault. They're trying to put the blame on everyone else and make everyone else cater and accommodate to them.
Yep.
For their seats.
But the positive side of that.
For me, though, me being smaller, I'm still uncomfortable in my seat. Yeah.
First of all, why should we pay for a seat? We should pay half the price for a seat because we don't need the whole damn seat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, too. It's like, I should pay less because I don't take up the whole seat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Hey, can I get a smaller seat?
Yeah.
But here's a positive.
Dude, this is what you do. You get a seat right next to the emergency exit. I'm talking leg room.
Here's a positive, though, right? As a bodybuilder, right? I have a lot of bodybuilding friends, and we're big, right? We cannot fit. We can't fit. So if that really actually happens...
Nah, bro, they got broad shoulders.
Yeah, I know, but if that actually happens, it would actually help a lot of bodybuilding communities that now we can actually fit in a plane. Mm-hmm. But that's not the idea. I think the intention behind that is different.
Well, in my interview, I said we could all benefit from having a little more room. Yeah. We'll be a little more comfortable. Some people are in the airplane for like 5 hours to get to a destination. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't hurt to get a little bigger, but we don't want to enable people to continue an unhealthy lifestyle.
That's crazy.
So my final pageant question for you would be, you mentioned that you have to be involved in the community, right?
Yeah.
Is health and fitness something that you feel like you would want to be involved with in your community? And if that is the case, how would you go about that? Like within,
how would you implement
because you want to go all the way up to Miss America. If that's something that is, if it's not, then that's fine. But if it is important to you, what would be like your strategy or things that you want to do?
So my initiative is Mind Your Mindset, and it's just helping young adults come up with goal settings and just setting goals for themselves. I talk about you have to do the visualizing, picture yourself accomplishing it. You have to make a plan, so do the planning, and then you have to do the work. So one way that I get people involved in fitness is just by being an example. I'm pretty open about, I'm going to the gym, I have to go exercise, and I really like that the Miss America organization implemented the fitness portion, because it is encouraging people to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, enough's enough. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to work, and we're going to try to work for the best version of ourselves and just feel our best. So just being involved, I think, is my way of being involved in the community and being that example by being on stage, by walking and showing the things that I've worked towards.
Walking around with your gallon of water.
Yeah.
Don't be discouraged about the process. Just continue to believe that it's going to pay off, and it takes time. You have to be patient with yourself, and that is what I'm doing.
How has training with Johan, food, exercise, and everything like that, how has that helped you or affected you positively or even negatively emotionally? Because we talked a lot about your physical results. How do you feel internally?
I think inspiration. I really like the name itself, Unfinished Lifestyle. I think that's brilliant, honestly, because that's something that people don't really talk about, how just because you go to the gym for a couple months, that doesn't mean you stop there. It never stops. It's a lifestyle. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I've taken from it, that just because I'm done with Miss Utah and just because I'm done working out with Yo doesn't mean I'm done in the gym. And I think that's just great advice. And
I like that.
Good job with the branding.
And he thought of it not because it was a good idea, but because the other name was taken.
Well,
he wanted.
Unfinished fitness is the idea, but then again, I thought to myself, fitness. The word fitness, it's a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
And because it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the reason why I said unfinished is because when I lost, time and time again, I keep telling myself unfinished business. I have some unfinished business. That was the idea.
Yeah.
When I created Unfinished Lifestyle, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to take that portion of it and create an unfinished lifestyle. Because you're never finished. You're never finished, ever. Like, I keep doing shows. He's going to keep doing shows. Yep. He's going to keep improving. You're going to keep improving. Mm-hmm. It never stops. That's the idea. You can't just go from, I lost 20, 30 pounds and I'm done. Nope. It doesn't work.
Nope.
But thank you for joining us. This has been fun.
This was a good one.
This is a good one. We talked a lot about the pageant and comparing it to bodybuilding. We talked about our food, cheat meals, and we talked about the obese questions. Those are some good ones.
We wanted to thank you for inviting us over for dinner. We will be there.
Yes.
Tell your dad we'll be there.
We'll be
anytime.
there.
Yes,
Dad, tell your mom
anytime.
we're all gonna be there. We're gonna have some good food
We'll record another episode.
right there.
Yeah, at
We're
the
just gonna
dinner
bring all
table.
of this in the kitchen.
We'll do a food review.
Yeah, we should start like a once a week
Oh my
show, a once a
gosh.
week cheat meal show, and we'll all have different cheat meals, and we'll talk about our. Cheat
No one's
meals.
gonna watch mine. Mine's sushi or it's Apollo burger.
Yeah, nobody's
his-
gonna watch
his is
yours.
boring as hell.
You want to watch me?
Well,
me
yeah, you
down
wanna-
some mozzarella
yeah.
sticks? And
But I know people are
tune
gonna
in.
watch her eat
Yeah.
though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could all bring a dish from home, like
Okay.
our best
Got it,
dish.
got it.
Yeah.
and just-
Got it.
Yeah.
He's gonna bring
I'll-
like a bunch of.
I'll bring
I'll
them
bring some.
into the-
I'll bring some Serbian food.
Yeah, see? Same thing. I'll bring Malaysian food. You bring some Mexican food.
Yep.
And Colton brings
Dude,
some.
Belgian waffles.
But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of our 4th episode with Unfinished Lifestyle. And I know and we brought a lot of educational stuff onto the podcast. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you, Nick, for co-hosting.
Thanks for having me again.
And Colton for our
Yeah, of course.
Yes, thank
directing
you to you
traffic.
guys as well. Thank you. For
Where
having
can
me.
people find you? So
Yeah.
social
Oh, yeah.
media, where they can, are you doing a show again? Kind of talk about what's next and where people can find you.
Yeah.
So you can follow me on my Instagram. That's pretty much the only social media platform that I use. It's just Makencie Klein, and it's spelled MAKENC as in cat, IE, and then my last name Klein, CLINE. So
That's awesome.
find you there.
I'm excited. So we're excited to see if you ever get to the point where you're going to be Miss America.
We will be
Yeah,
there.
I'll
cheering
I'll
you
be
on.
there.
Yeah,
We will be there.
We will be at the Miss America.
Dude,
Yes.
We'll be the loudest
Yeah.
ones there.
Oh,
Woo!
dude. We got the whole sign and
Yeah,
stuff.
signs. We'll do.
Yeah.
We'll get enough people like we can, body paint, spell your name
Yeah.
with it, and all that.
Well, it's in Connecticut in December, so bring your coats.
Oh, I don't know if
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm busy.
Yeah, I think all of a sudden I'm busy.
I'm doing laundry that day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like to be that cold. But thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Later.